Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 13, the unlucky 13. Thankfully, we're recording this on a Saturday night, so it's not Friday the 13th. No bad voodoo around here, and it's posted on a Monday, so we're all good to go. Episode 13 of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew, and you might notice we have ourselves a new logo for this podcast. We're branching out in the world, changing things up, and I have to give a very special shout out to the one and only Donnie Cartier. He is on Twitter. He's the guy who made this for us. We got a lot of fun things planned, including t-shirts. Those possibly coming soon. I'm Jordon Lawrenz, joined alongside Drew Skyberg. Drew, how great would it be to go to a Brewer game, a Tim Brather game, a Booyah game, a Bandits game, or just walking around town in a Jordan and Drew the Sports Crew t-shirt?
That sounds like heaven to me, Jordan. Being able to wear a Jordan and Drew the Sports Crew t-shirt while I'm at a baseball game would be one of the greatest feelings of my life.
We're working on it. We are working on it. We're gonna try. It's a pricing issue at this point because once you put things on the back, it makes it more expensive, and we want it cheap for the people. We don't want too expensive, and it also, if you make it a colored shirt, it's more expensive. That's a business meeting for Drew and I. We don't have to get into it on here, but Drew, congratulations, sir. You have officially graduated high school. How does it feel?
It's all bittersweet, Jordan. It feels so weird, like just walking through school the last week, and now I can't say I'm currently a senior at Valor's High School anymore. I just can't. I have to say I'm an incoming freshman at UW Milwaukee.
Starting over, as we like to say, because you go from one thing, you do your 4 years, and then start all over and do 4 more years. Gotta love college, but technically you're not graduated yet because we are recording late on a Saturday night. It is 10:30 p.m. as we start recording this episode. We got done recording episode 2 of the Summer Sports Spectacular, but if you haven't checked out episode 1, please do yourself a favor, check it out. We got some rave reviews for it, good stuff all around. It is just fantastic game. Texas and USC with the Rose Bowl. Episode 2, Braves and Twins, one of the best game sevens and one of the best games of baseball you will ever see, right, Drew? If you want a pitcher's duel, this is yours for the taking.
Oh, for sure. And MLB Network actually ranked top 20 games of all time. This actually was ranked number 2 on all of the MLB games ever. The second best game of all time. I didn't look what beat it.
Okay. I don't know either.
But I thought that was also an interesting fact. So you're definitely going to want to check that out this Wednesday, because that is going to be quite the episode. I mean, we had some issues at the start, but we overcame it all, and we delivered a pretty good episode. So go check it out.
Yes, we always work through our issues. Nothing can hold us back. I mean, we've had interview issues. I had microphone problems. I got a new computer here. Everything's nice. It's super fast, but the microphone wasn't working. I can't hear myself through the microphone. I don't know how. I had to announce a game one time in Two Rivers, not being able to hear myself through my own headset. That was brutal. You remember that actually, because you were there, and then all of a sudden I got it working and we could hear ourselves, right? Yeah. You were at that game?
I think I was. It was the girls' TR game. It was the regional quarterfinal.
Yep, then in Denmark, right?
Yep. I was there, and that was interesting because you couldn't hear yourself. So luckily, big color commentary man Drew Skyberg stepped in.
Saved the day, right?
Drew's views.
That I think it debuted at a Lutheran game, though.
Yeah,
I don't think it was the TR game. Yeah. Oh, well, same thing. That was TR's first regional win in 4 or 5 years, something like that. I like their coach. Their girls' coach, he was a good guy. We're getting off page. Let's get back on page, right? Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. Leave that 5-star review. And as of this recording, I know I got a few reviews the other night. I don't think they processed, so let's take a look. As of Saturday night, we are at 22 reviews on Apple Podcast and 25 subscribers on YouTube. YouTube is winning the battle, so that's good to see. We like a growing YouTube number, and I have to give another shout out, right? I shouted out Donnie Cartier on Twitter, who made our logo. Daryl Reed. I got to give this guy a shout out. Drew has no idea who this is. So I work at Shipbuilders Credit Union, for those of you who are unaware. And there's one guy came through the other day, and I was in the lobby, and it's really boring in there because if you're not busy, you really have nothing to do. So this guy came in, and he comes in quite a bit, so I see him regularly. Nice guy. We always talk. He was telling me his son, Dale Reed, goes, where did he go to high school? Minnesota? something around there. Michigan, maybe? I don't know. But he has committed to the University of Alabama, D1, full ride to play basketball. I just thought that was incredible because Alabama actually was really good at basketball this year. And the dad was telling me about how the coach was calling him over and over saying they want to play him and he should go there. So he's committed to Alabama, Daryl Reed. I'm going to keep an eye on this kid next year, see how he does, because I just think that's awesome. But let's not waste any more time, right? Let's get right into the stats of the week. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot to talk about here. Let's start with a bad one. Drew, you sent me this tweet. Ugh. This year, there are 4 MLB players with at least 100 plate appearances and an OPS plus of 35 or lower. Are you able to explain to listeners at home what OPS is if they aren't aware?
So OPS, that's the on base plus slugging. So we're going to take your on base percentage, which is basically what percent of time you get on base. And then the slugging percentage takes into account how many total bases you get. So like you get rewarded for extra base hits and so doubles, triples, home runs, and that will raise your OPS. But like getting just singles or getting out is not going to raise your. It rewards base hit or extra base hits. So these players, Jordan, I'll let you read the stat, but it's horrible.
The Brewers have 2 of the 4 MLB players, and I'm sure you can guess them at home, or at least one of them. Yes, Keston Hiura is indeed on the list, along with Jackie Bradley Jr. I mean, we knew coming into the year his just batting average was always like 200s. It was never good. He was having quite a slump lately, but he's in the home run leaderboard. I mean, he's got 5, I believe. He just hit one the other night. Yeah, 5 home runs for JBJ. But to have 2 of the 4 players with an OPS plus of 35 or lower makes sense with Keston Hiura, right? Dude swings at everything, so he's never going to get a walk. And I like that about the on-base percentage because that takes into account if you're like actually a patient hitter because sure, your batting average is whatever, your on-base percentage, walks come into a factor and stuff like that. So that's why that rises. Do you want to say anything about these 2 or are you going to save it for our Brewer talk?
We'll talk about. I mean, we can talk about the home runs. I mean, JBJ, like you mentioned, home runs. That's a plus. We'll talk about that in the Brewer talk. But Keston, I got nothing good for him yet. I'm sorry, Keston. You've really underachieved,
to say the least. That might be saying it nicely. Yeah, that might be saying it nicely at this point. So now let's move. I don't think you know what I'm talking about here. In our notes, it's a state winning percentage graphic. Do you have any clue what this is?
No.
Good, because I have it on my phone and we can play a little game. I need you to guess here. So this graphic has each state's winning percentage for their teams, right? So it's baseball, hockey, football, all the major things. It says based on this season only, last year for the NFL, must have 2+ teams to be counted. Can you guess what state has the best winning percentage?
Wisconsin.
You are absolutely right. It is a 651 between the Bucks, Brewers, and Packers. Tremendous. Great stuff. We go from bad Brewer stuff to Wisconsin. The problem is we never have championships bring it home. We can do so good in the regular season, like the Bucks past 2 years, 1 seed, doing everything, best record in the league. They got nothing to prove for it. We'll talk about Bucks and Nets coming up here in a minute. But number 2 is Missouri, which I found surprising. But I mean, they've got St. Louis Cardinals, which sure, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Royals too in there who are decent. Number 3 is Nevada. So we just talked the other week, I should say, about how Vegas is coming a hot spot, and they've got the Raiders and the Golden Knights. Missouri was a 622, and Nevada's a 616. So 4 was Washington, 5 was Tennessee. Do you have any guess what the last state is on here? There's only 23 because obviously there's not major state or major teams in every state.
Is Texas low?
Texas is second worst.
Oh, okay.
But they have a lot of teams. Texas has the Cowboys, Texans, Mavericks, Rockets, Astros. The Rangers, the Dallas Stars, and the Spurs.
Oh, it's going to be Michigan.
You are correct.
Yes.
They've got the Pistons, the Tigers, the Lions, and the Red Wings.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a bad group. And then Georgia is 21st. Michigan, it's really not even close though. Michigan is a 353, and Texas is a 427. So that's quite a difference. And like I said, Texas has 8 teams in there that some are gonna be decent, some are really gonna bring it down. So that's that. I just thought that was fun. talk about for the week. And now let's move to our little trading card business again, right? You remember the interview with Kerry Maselli. Babe Ruth, a pre-rookie card. I'm not entirely sure what a pre-rookie card is, but it sold for $6 million. One card, folks. One trading card, ladies and gentlemen, has sold for $6 million. It's the most expensive card ever sold. There are only 10 known to exist. You think with our t-shirt sales, we could pool our money together and get this card?
Yeah, I think when we grow ourselves, we get those t-shirts. We charge $100 for our t-shirts, and then we're gonna need a lot of t-shirt sales though in order to reach our $6 million goal for this
we
Babe
might
Ruth
need
card.
we might need to charge like $100,000 instead for a t-shirt if we want the $6 million. That's insane. Do you know what a pre-rookie card is?
I'm gonna guess it was like when because obviously there's no draft, but like I'm gonna guess like when he's in the amateur league. Like I'm gonna guess before
That's
he was in the
kind
majors.
of what I was thinking, but I didn't know they had trading cards.
Yeah, I find that interesting. So I'm thinking for some like minor league team, even though they weren't called like minor league, maybe like independent league or whatever it'd be called. Probably one of those.
Imagine Manitowoc Bandits trading cards. I should get on that. Give my boy Luke Mandich a trading card. So I don't think it would be that hard, honestly. Then they've got the same team for the past few years, but we got one stat left. Brandon Woodruff won the NL Player of the Week, and this was word for word. I got an email, and this is what the description said. The righty picked up 2 wins last week while shutting the Padres and Tigers hitters down over 14 total scoreless innings. He struck out 18 of the 48 batters he faced, gave up just 5 hits, all of which were singles in that span. Woodruff now ranked second in the NL with a 1.27 ERA. We saw in the game on Saturday, kind of struggled a little bit. Wasn't his best game, but he only gave up 2 runs, I'm pretty sure, and wasn't the worst thing in the world. But Woodruff wins the NL Player of the Week. Are you ready for On This Day?
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about On This Day in History from June 7th.
Yes, June 7th is indeed the date. We've got a wild On This Day. There's a lot here to talk about. I actually had to cut a few things. I had like 3 more things in here, and I said, okay, I've got to get rid of some of these. Let's start. On this day in 1892, John J. Doyle of the Cleveland Spiders is the first player to pinch hit in a baseball game. Where do you think they ever came up with that? Where all of a sudden one day they're like, we're going to have you pinch hit. Like, I know you don't know, obviously, but like, what would be the scenario even? And all of a sudden in 1892, they're like, let's get a pinch hitter.
I'm gonna guess someone maybe like they might have got hurt like in the half inning prior, and they decided they wanted to hit. Like, and baseball's been around since 1869, so it took 23 years before there was a pinch hitter. So that's kind of odd to me, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why wouldn't there have been a thing from the start? But I mean, obviously, rules are going to change, things are going to adapt, evolve. So, on this day, 1936, the Yankees beat the Indians 5-4 in 16 innings, and this is the longest game without a strikeout. These pitchers must have not been able to hit their spots. That is a long time. 16 innings not to get a strikeout. On this day, 1978, the 32nd NBA championship. I included this because neither of these two teams are in it anymore. The Washington Bullets defeated the Seattle Supersonics in 7 games. Oh, how times have changed. Those teams are gone. 7-game series there in 1978. And stay tuned to the end of episode 2 of the Summer Sports Spectacular, where you figure out what game we do in episode 3. Little hint, it involves basketball. So, on this day in 1980, the one and only Tommy John wins his 200th game 3-0 on a 2-hitter. And Tommy John, that, if I'm not mistaken, he's the man why they call it Tommy John surgery. So, big boy there. On this day in 1989, Wayne Gretzky wins his 9th NHL Hart, which is the MVP trophy, in 10 years. Yeah, I mean, I had to say MVP because you'd be like, what's a Hart trophy?
Is he the GOAT?
Oh, yeah. Undoubtedly.
He's good. I thought he would be the GOAT.
9 MVPs in 10 years, and he's actually coming back because NHL, they signed that ESPN deal, and I think they're doing something like on TNT, like the NBA show. I believe NHL is doing the same thing or something similar, and Wayne Gretzky's coming back to be like an analyst for that. So that's a big deal. But we got more. 3 more things to talk about here. On this day in 1989, the first baseball game to start outdoors and end indoors. Sounds crazy, but it's really not. The Toronto Blue Jays Stadium closes the roof during the game and beat the Brewers 4-2. Drew, this is something where I don't understand why every major league stadium doesn't have a roof. You know how many doubleheaders, how many canceled, postponed games could be saved? Why don't they all have roofs?
Yeah,
I mean, money, but
for example, I think every new stadium should be required to have a retractable roof. So like American Family Field was built and it opened in 2001. That had a retractable roof. And then we have like Target Field, which opened in 2009, where the Minnesota Twins play. No retractable roof. SunTrust Park, one in Atlanta, which I believe opened 2017, 2018. No retractable roof. And it's like these are new stadiums. They should have the high tech stuff like a retractable roof. So we don't have, like what you said, double headers and rain delays and not the fun stuff.
there's nothing more annoying than buying tickets to a game and you look at the forecast and it's going to rain because, I mean, your game could either get canceled or you're stuck sitting out in the rain, which no one wants to do. Thankfully, American Family Field, it takes a while, though. It takes 10, 15 minutes for that roof to close, but it's the job done. So there's that. Let's talk some hockey. On this day in 2004, the Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Calgary Flames 2-1 in a 4-3 series win. This was Tampa's first ever final appearance. They get the job done. That is my team. I predicted them to win back to back. I think they're winning the Stanley Cup. If you are on our Instagram, I posted the scoreboard as to how we're doing between me and Drew. So if you're not following Jordan Drew _sports crew, you don't know. So we're not going to let you know. And also, yes, Drew's reminding me, we've got a big thing here. Let's talk about it now. If we get to 50 followers on Instagram, we're at 38, I want to say, or something like
38.
that. So we're at 38, only 12 more. I know 12 of you are listening who aren't following us. Make an Instagram just to follow us at that rate. If we get to 50 followers, we will release the entire rundown for every episode of the Summer Sports Spectacular, an Instagram exclusive. Follow us on there, and you'll get to see every episode coming up. That way you can watch the games ahead of time and be prepared for us. We don't just have to spring it on you and you have to watch it in a week. Do it. Follow us on there, and that'll be up. We'll get that up. Once we get to 50, I'll post it as soon as we get to 50 followers, which should happen sooner rather than later. But let's finish things off. On this day in 1910, the MLB draft, Bryce Harper from Southern Nevada is the first pick by the Washington Nationals. What a guy, Bryce Harper. Crazy to think he's been in the league 11 years already.
Yeah.
Anything to say about him?
Yeah, you said he got drafted in 2010, and he came up as a 19-year-old rookie back in 2012, and now look at him. Like, he won the Rookie of the Year. He's got an MVP award in 15, and now he's on the Phillies. He got that massive deal, so now he's just building his brand in Philadelphia. And yeah, it's crazy to me that he just from kid to like adult now.
Yeah, we kind of get to watch him grow at that point. I mean, on the amount of money the guy got to, come on, I mean, just insane numbers. But that's what's happened nowadays, these big time contracts. So let's get into our weekly sports talk segment. I got some things to discuss in the world of hockey real quick. Not going to mention the playoffs right now. Well, actually, I need to mention Friday night, Vegas Golden Knights were trailing. They would have went down 3-0 in the series, but they scored 2 goals in the span of 45 seconds to beat the Colorado Avalanche. And Saturday, there was a game going on. The Carolina Hurricanes, Tampa Bay Lightning, the second period saw 8 goals scored, 4 for each team. Playoff hockey, absolutely nothing like it. And the draft lottery just took place. The Seattle Kraken, Drew. Have you heard of them?
Nope.
They're a brand new team coming to the National Hockey League. Maybe they can be your favorite team. We could get you on board with the Kraken. It is going to be their first year next year, and they are the number 2 pick. They didn't even get the number 1 pick in the draft lottery. The Buffalo Sabres get the number 1 pick. The Kraken are 2, and the Anaheim Ducks are number 3. So it goes Sabres, Kraken, Ducks, Devils, Blue Jackets, 1 through 5. So I felt bad for the Kraken. I thought surely, they could get a nice little number 1 seed, start building their team. They couldn't even get that. Poor guys, but that's enough hockey talk. Let's just say this, Drew. We're big XFL fans, right? We want that league to come back.
Go Vipers.
I'm a big Seattle Dragons
Yuck.
guy. I'm sorry to let you know, but they weren't that great either. Anyways, we're big XFL fans. The CFL, they're like partnering together or something, and it delayed the XFL a year. We were supposed to have XFL football in 2022. That's not happening anymore. So the United States Football League is coming back in 2022. I've never heard of this because it's from back in the 80s. Oh, real quick, the Spring League, have you been watching that at all?
I watched the 2 games of it, and it is very interesting.
Are there a bunch of rule changes? Is it weird like that, or
Well,
is it
it's kind
normal
of
basically?
it's like where they interview players on the sidelines and stuff, like as
Okay.
stuff's happening, and I like it's just like I don't know. You can tell obviously that they're not professional, like they're not like NFL players. Like it seems like more like worse than the XFL than that.
That's an XFL thing. They started doing that. They interviewed players on the side and all
Yeah,
that stuff. And that's one of the reasons it was so entertaining because it's so different and everything production wise was great about it. But the USFL is coming back. It says it was the most popular spring league in football, emerging as a viable competitor to the NFL in the early to mid 80s. No one's competing with the NFL. I mean, if you're getting into this business to compete, just get out because it's not worth it. But it says nearly 40 years later, the USFL is planning to make a major comeback. It announced its reemergence Thursday with a return in spring of 2022. The league plans a minimum of 8 teams for its first season and will obtain rights to key original team names such as the New Jersey Generals, bad name, the Philadelphia or Baltimore Stars. I mean, I just said there's Dallas Stars for hockey. This is a good one. The Memphis Showboats. I like that.
yes,
And the Los Angeles Express. That's a fun name.
yeah.
So,
Those are some fun names, and I hope you said there's 8 teams. So is there 4 more names, or do they not have those?
I mean, I guess maybe those are the only original names they're getting back. And it said a minimum of 8. So I don't know. Maybe they could get 10 teams together or something, but we're going to have to see. It says more information on the USFL, including cities, teams, head coaches, game schedules will be announced at a later date. And Fox Sports is the broadcast partner for the league. Hopefully that doesn't affect anything with the XFL, but I just thought, oh, it actually says right here, this version of the USFL will be intriguing as it is scheduled to compete with the rebranded XFL, which is also scheduled to begin play in 2022. But I thought the XFL was delayed until later, but I don't know. Only time will tell. I think it's got potential to be fun, though, the USFL, if they do it right. Maybe could we get like a Milwaukee team or something? Get a Wisconsin team in there?
That'd
What are
be
the
cool.
chances?
2 Milwaukee
Where
or 2 Wisconsin teams. I think that would be amazing.
that would be, where would they play? Do you even know anywhere good where a football team we could host them?
No idea. Like that would
Yeah,
be
that's the big thing though. Is like where would a team in Wisconsin play? It would have to be like a soccer field or something, where they've got a bunch of open room. I don't know. Put them at the UWM soccer campus for all I care. Just get a team to Milwaukee. I was begging for an XFL team, but sadly that didn't happen. So next up, let's move into actually, let's move down. Let's go to the college football real quick. I just wanted to mention this because we just did in episode 1 of the Summer Sports Spectacular, USC and Texas, that national championship game. We talked all about Reggie Bush, the Heisman, what happened there. Reggie Bush is going into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2022. Him, Andrew Luck, and Marshawn Lynch are headlining. Those are 3 big names, Drew, going into the Hall of Fame. And I wasn't sure if Reggie Bush would ever get in, but there he goes.
Yeah, good for him. I wish he could have got his Heisman. I know that's kind of a shame how now it's just like no Heisman winner that year, but I think hey, if he got in the Hall of Fame, that's good for him. I mean, they did not take that away from him.
Good, right? I mean, I think it was in like 2010 or something. They kept to their word that the Heisman wasn't going to him or for Vince Young. So I don't think he's ever getting that Heisman, sadly. But he's going to the Hall of Fame, which honestly is a lot better, even if it is a college Hall of Fame. Let's talk now. We got a big retirement here. Coach K from Duke. This dude is done. He is stepping down. It says he plans to retire after the upcoming season. And I feel like this was a long time coming. His team did not do well this year. And obviously, if you're not doing well, why would you want to coach and stay there and kind of ruin your legacy, bring all your stats down? I feel like this is what's expected. And he's still going this year. So who knows if Duke can make another run.
Yeah, and like they have a guy like Jalen Johnson, as we know that past year they had some big names too. And like when you get these big names, these 5-star recruits, because Duke's always known they always get those top recruits. And when you can't produce, I mean, like you mentioned, he doesn't want his stats to go down. His counting stats, coaching wins, win percentage, stuff like that. And I think he's been around for like ever. So I think this is time.
I've got a bunch of stats here I'm going to read to you. There was a DraftKings pool. They have some weird ones from time to time, but this one was about Coach K. And this says most incredible Coach K stat. We could have done a whole stat of the week on Coach K. Here we go. Coach K is the most Division I men's basketball wins as the head coach. He has coached 9 different players to the National Player of the Year award. He has 5 national championships in D1 and 6 gold medals from the men's national team. I feel like that gets forgotten, but he does Olympic coaching. He has 12 National Coach of the Year honors, 12 Final Four appearances, and 1,097 wins at Duke, which is the most in the history at one school. And I'm sure he'll reach 1,100 more come this year, but that is insane what Coach K has done for that team. Are you ready to talk about my Boston Celtics?
Yeah, let's talk some Celtics.
So, real quick, just had to mention, right? This Celtics team is one that got bounced by the Nets. They didn't do too well in the postseason, but that's not going to keep them down. They made some changes. Things are moving in the world of Boston basketball. Danny Ainge has officially retired, and Brad Stevens is going to lead the front office. So the Boston Celtics need a new head coach. The Brad Stevens era in Boston is officially underway, but this time not as head coach is what this article says. And I was a little shocked by this move. I actually just listened to a Boston Celtics podcast the other week, and they had Danny Ainge on. He was talking about things. Everything was normal. I don't know how long this has been planned, but who's going to coach for the Celtics now? Interesting question to think about.
So there's a few candidates that I've seen at least around social media and guys who I think would fit very well into this. I think a guy like Chauncey Billups would fit well. He's currently assistant coach, I believe, for the Clippers. And then also Sam Cassell is another guy. And Kendrick Perkins was on ESPN just raving about how Sam Cassell should be the next head coach for the Celtics. And I think it kind of works out. I mean, he was a part of the Celtics team when they won it all in 2008. So I think that's a plus. And I thought Brad Stevens was he was a phenomenal coach. He was a great coach, and it's surprised to see them finally part ways. I feel like it wasn't really his fault with what happened this postseason. I think when you have Jaylen Brown getting hurt and just you're playing the Brooklyn Nets, I mean, I think things like that really, like, you're gonna get bounced in 5 games if you're playing a team like that, and you don't have one of your best players. So
yeah, and it was not sustainable for Tatum to put up 50 a game and lead him to every win. I mean, like you said, it really wasn't his fault. Just kind of bad situation, put Stevens in a bad spot, and now they made this move. I don't know if it's an upgrade for Brad Stevens at the position. We'll see how it certainly seems like it, but we'll see how he handles it and see how things move. I think Tony Bennett from Virginia would be an awesome coach. I don't know how likely that would be, but I saw that one floating around somewhere, said that, and I think that would be fantastic. But who knows what's going to happen? We'll definitely keep an eye on it. And this Celtics team, they've got all the talent in the world. They've just got to put it to use and got to bring a championship home. And that's something Brad Stevens hasn't done. I mean, you look back, 2010, their big 3, all the guys they had, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kendrick Perkins. That was fantastic. Those were the days to be a Celtics fan. And talking about the Nets, the Bucks played game 1 and they lost 115-107. I put a poll up on Instagram on Saturday asking who was going to win the series, and I didn't actually look at the results all day. I'm curious to see what it says. 84% Milwaukee Bucks, 16% Brooklyn Nets. It is 16 votes for the Bucks and 3 votes for the Nets. I was one of the 3 for the Nets.
Ooh.
Who else? There's 2 other. Colin Rathsack was one of the guys who voted for the Nets. So you better be all over him about that. Going Nets. And Nets won game 1. And I mean, it was a pretty dominant win. It was close at times, but 115-107. Bucks led at the end of the first quarter, 32-30. Then Nets were up by just 1 point, or 2 points, I should say, at halftime. Nets won the third quarter by 12 points. Bucks, too little, too late. Couldn't come back in the fourth quarter. Giannis, 34 points, 11 boards in the game. Brook Lopez also had 19 points, 13 rebounds for Middleton. But Drew, Middleton 6 of 23 from the field. This was not good.
No, it wasn't. And I'm a proud wearer of a Chris Middleton is good shirt, and today is not a day to wear one by any means. Sunday wasn't either. And the other issue in the game, what I thought was when you're playing Jeff Teague 14 minutes, you're not going to win. He 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, over 2 shooting. He doesn't do anything defensively. I was talking to the Bucks believer about him during the game, and we were talking about how he's a mess. Forbes didn't have a good game either. Portis didn't really do anything well, and it just was not a good day to be a Bucks fan. And I hope they can turn it around for game 2.
Jeff Teague was the longtime Hawk, right? He always played there.
Yep.
Yeah, so like his career's winding down at this point, it seems. And is he like the sub for DiVincenzo, who's out the rest of the playoffs? That's what they're trying.
Yeah, he's DiVincenzo's replacement, so he comes off the bench because like PJ Tucker started today instead of because like now DiVincenzo out this whole playoff. PJ Tucker moved up and he played fairly well today, and it's just a shame that now Jeff Teague gets minutes.
Yeah, that's not good. 29 and 10 for Kevin Durant, 18 and 14 for Blake Griffin, 25, 8 assists for Kyrie Irving. They've got their big three. James Harden had 1 minute. What happened with James Harden?
We'll talk James Harden. Today he left the game, first minute in the game. He went to the locker room because he had a apparent right hamstring injury, and this is that same injury that he missed 20 plus games in the regular season for, and he went and he left the arena actually, and he got an MRI. So his status right now is questionable. He might be done for the series, possibly. He could be done.
That would be big.
That would be big, a big momentum change for the Bucks. It's because like this injury kept him out of the back-to-back the Bucks played against the Nets when they won. They swept the back-to-back. Harden was out both games with the same right hamstring injury he has right now. So we'll see.
Kyrie Irving played 45 minutes, by the way. I mean, where was this Kyrie on the Boston Celtics? He was atrocious. He brought that team down, and then he has the audacity to step over the Celtics logo. Come on, dude. Not a Kyrie Irving fan at all. Anything else for Bucks you want to talk about? I mean, you got a prediction for the series? I say Nets in 7, but if the Bucks are like this, might be over a little sooner.
Bucks in 6.
Always, right?
Bucks in 6. No, if Harden is out for this series, I think they can overcome this game 1 defeat. I think it can be like the series 2 years ago against your Boston Celtics, where they lose that first game, and then they get a sweep. I think we'll see that.
Could be. I was actually when was that? 20. Let me look it up. I was at game 4 it was of the Bucks Celtics in 2018. That was crazy. That's like when the Bucks in 6 was like at its peak right there. It was wild. We left that game. Giannis got a tip in at the end. As you're walking out to your car, everyone was screaming Bucks in 6. And it was crazy. It was hard for me not to be a Bucks fan in that moment because Giannis, tip in, everyone going crazy. We'll see. We'll see what the Bucks can do. But if you don't have to plan around James Harden, certainly something else to focus on. You've got other things to look at. Kind of evens it out. 1 apiece. DiVincenzo out, Harden out. We'll see how serious the Harden injury is. And it's time for our Brewer talk. I actually went to the Brewer game yesterday, but the problem is we're in the same situation. Did Drew win in the prediction series or did Jordan? It has come down to the final game in back-to-back weeks. I won 5 weeks in a row. I am up 5-1 in this prediction challenge. It's getting out of hand at this point. And if the Brewers lost on Sunday, I will be up 6-1. 6-1, Drew. This could be bad, but I don't see him losing to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Corbin Burns is pitching. So let's talk about the week, right? The Brewers start 2-game series against the Tigers, and they win the first game 3-2, close one there. Then they lose 10-7. I mean, it was a wild game where they lost to the Tigers 10-7. Tigers really aren't a good team. We talked about Michigan, how bad they are at sports. But then Brewers are on their way to sweep the Diamondbacks. They've won 7-4, 5-1, 7-5. We knew coming in this would be an easy week. I was actually thinking about going bold and saying 6-0. I'm glad I didn't. But a lot of good things coming out of the Brewers in this week, Drew.
Oh, certainly, Jordan. And the one thing that stood out to me, well, first, they're 8-2 in the last 10, but they're hitting home runs now. Christian Yelich just hit 2 home runs in the first 3 games. We had a big game.
Thomas hit another one on Saturday.
That's a guy. Obviously, Garcia's been hot with home runs. And their team stats, they're starting to look not as bad. I mean, the 211 team batting average, which is 29th in baseball, that's still horrible. But now they're 8th in Major League Baseball in home runs with 73 home runs as a team. So, hey, I mean, average might be low, but they're hitting the ball at the ballpark. And if that's happening, they're winning games. And I believe they might be, as of this recording, I think they're in first place again, or they're half game out.
I'll look. MLB standings.
So I think that's a
Central.
great thing. Omar Narvaez has been hot like usual. We talked about obviously Garcia hitting the ball at the ballpark. Jackie Bradley even hit a bomb. And yeah, Willie
JBJ seems to be all or nothing. I know I say that kind of a lot with the dude, but I mean, he's either 1 of 30 or 1 of 30 with a home run. I mean, the dude hits home runs when he gets contact, but it's not often that he does. So he's got 5 on the year.
He has 60 strikeouts so far this year already.
God.
50 games. He's on pace to have almost 200.
Honestly, I can see him reaching that. How many does Keston have? Do you have that up?
Keston Hira, you ask? Do I have that up? I do not have that up. Okay, I can look. I have it up. 45.
Oh, and Keston went to AAA for over a week.
Yeah,
and he had a week off basically, and then he was at AAA.
He has that in 36 games.
Oh God, yeah, that's basically the same as JBJ, and we're tied with the Cubs as of Saturday. Both teams are 32 and 26, so it's getting close. Things are looking good though for the Brewers. Certainly, like you said, moving up the home runs. Yelich, I really liked one of the notifications. It said his first home with home in quotations run of the year because he's hit 2 bombs in the Diamondback series. Like you said, maybe he's finally putting things together. He said in one of a press conference, he said, "You guys bet on us not scoring runs, but we knew it was just going to take some time. We'd put things together, and they're figuring things out." Kane and Wong, though, we got to talk about this. Both guys on the IL. Colton Wong kind of came out of nowhere. Do you know what exactly happened with him?
No, he left the game with some discomfort, I believe. And I don't remember what it was exactly, and then they put him on a 10-day IL. But we saw Lorenzo Cain's injury. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so, I was watching that game actually.
Yeah, the Memorial Day game, and he made a great play, and then just something didn't look right. And the bad news with low Cain on the IL means JBJ gets more at bats, and that's never a good thing.
No, not at all. Tyrone Taylor's doing okay. I mean, he's certainly far from bad. But at this point, Billy McKinney's gone too, so nothing really there. Yelich is going to have to play more, huh? With Cain gone for days.
Certainly, Yelich is going to have to step up, which he's certainly been doing. So
he has.
If he keeps doing what he's doing, we get that same old Yelich back. I mean, this team could go on a run.
They're getting there. I mean, it's far from a World Series team at this point, I would say. But let's talk about the pitching, right? I just said it to you today, yesterday, whatever. I don't even remember what day I said it to you at this point. Freddie Peralta, is he 7-1 now? Or is it 6-1?
6-1.
He's 6-1, and he is probably our 3rd best starting pitcher behind Woodruff and Burns, maybe even 4th best pitcher overall with Josh Hader. What does that say about the Brewers' pitching depth? In terms of starting pitchers, especially Freddie Peralta doing insane numbers, and he's not even our best pitcher.
Yeah, they definitely have a 3-headed monster brewing in Milwaukee. And one fun stat, Jordan, I have for you is these Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta are all 3 like arbitration eligible. Like Brewers have team control of all 3 until 2025. So these guys won't be going away. We will see them unless there's some trade, but like these 3 guys we're going to see for a long time, and they've been nothing short of just like spectacular, and all 3 of them deserve to be in the All-Star game. Hader obviously deserves to be there too. I think this Brewers team, they may have a good chunk of All-Stars come July.
Devin Williams is finally picking up too. I mean, he started off the year a little rough, but Saturday he actually got the win. So Brewers had run support for Brandon Woodruff, and then Brent Suter gave up 3 runs. It was terrible. And Suter's hit or miss. He's really one of those guys where today they were up 5-2. He gives up a solo shot, then gives up a 2-run homer. I shouldn't say today. Saturday, I should say. It's late, guys. Give us a break. We're doing our best at this point. We went through a lot of technical difficulties to get this thing together. Like I said, Drew is a busy boy. It came down to the wire with you watching Summer Sports Spectacular, but we got it done. And I'm so glad we're here to talk Brewers because this team is making me proud. Anything else, or should we talk about the week ahead?
Let's talk about the week ahead, make some predictions.
So I'm going to let you go first. I kind of like going second. Maybe it's doing better for me. The Reds and the Pirates is what we got coming up. So on the 8th, 9th, and 10th, it's games against the Reds. Notice the Monday off day. They play the 8th, 9th, and 10th, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday against the Reds. That's at the Reds. And then the Pirates come to town on the 11th, 12th, and 13th. I love a good old 110 Sunday game. Christian Yelich bobblehead on the 13th. So Pirates, Reds, certainly two teams who aren't doing that well, but Brewers don't always play the best against the Pirates.
We're going to play some 5-hard baseball, I say, this week. I know, very sad. I say we lose that series against Cincinnati. We lose we lose 2 of the games. We win 1. And then we take 2 out of 3 at home. Pirates, we got to win Sunday. It's the Yelich bobblehead day. And so I say 3-3 this week.
All right. That's very easy for me to go 4-2. I'll take the above. I mean, you want over under 500? I'm going above this week. I think I'm going to be in good position for a 7-1 lead in this series, but likely we know by now, like I said, Drew's probably catching up. It's probably 5-2. I don't see a chance the Brewers lose Sunday, and I'm going to the game, so I'll be the lucky charm. Brewers end up winning. We'll see. Only time will tell. That's one of my new favorite sayings, I guess. I used to always say, boy, oh boy, and now I'm saying only time will tell, it seems like. I love listening back and figuring out my crutches. That's the right word, I think, crutches. I did it for Jim Medley, right? We listened to the first game I ever did. We listened to it back on the way to our second game, and I went, I did that about 10 times in the first game. I was nervous. You know how hard it is to just be thrown into color commentary? I mean, there's no practice. You're just there. It's live. And
yeah, you just got to, throw yourself in there, too. You have to, when you talk, you just got to throw yourself in there because, they're doing play-by-play. They're not going to just stop their play-by-play. So, you know what I mean?
I do it all the time with you here on the podcast too, because you never know what I'm going to say to lead you into. Sometimes, I'll know your notes, then I can lead you into things. But half the time, I did it in the Summer Sports Spectacular. You'll hear it on Wednesday. It was terrible. We were talking about Game 5 of the World Series, and I asked Drew about it, and I'm like, why am I asking him about it? We didn't watch Game 5. We have no clue what happened. But oh well. I mean, you're doing a fine job, and I'm loving the podcast. Anything else, or is it time to spin this wheel?
Let's spin the wheel.
Let's do it.
Trivia.
Our Brewers predictions are in. It's time to spin the wheel, and I'll have some special trivias coming up. But the wheel is spinning, and it has landed on all-time MLB statistics. No, it hasn't. No, it was really, really close. It has not. The text just popped up. NBA MVP winners is what his landed on. You think you're going to be good at this?
5 for 5.
Okay. We will see. I do have to say, the wheel has never landed on Drew's choice. I don't know if it's a curse or something, but you've never got to pick trivia. Let's start. This is tough. I don't know if you'll get the first one. I don't know why this is number 1. This is a hard first question. In what season was the first NBA MVP award given out?
Okay.
This should be a number 5.
Oh, boy. I'm not going 5 for 5 today.
You know what? I'm going to give you 3 options. This is hard. So, option number 1, 1948, 1949. Option 2, 1955, 1956. Option 3, 1959, 1960.
1955, 1956.
That is correct. You've got it. 1955, 1956. I don't know where you would have pulled that number out of. I feel like I had the space left for options, but I never gave them. 1 for 1. Good start. Next one. True or false? 50-50 shot here. Originally, the MVP was decided by a group of NBA players.
That's true. I read that once.
Yes, it is true. Isn't that crazy? Imagine the bias that went into that. Why would they ever think that's a good idea?
They thought because the players played against them. I just remember reading about this. I don't know why, but they thought because the players played against the players, so other players, so they thought it'd make sense to have them choose who they thought was the best player. And obviously,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
The logic makes sense, but it's never going to work out that way.
No.
Next question, number 3. Good start so far. Name one player to win the MVP award 4 times in 5 seasons. There's 2 of them. I want you to pick one.
4 times in 5 seasons. So for MVP,
Correct.
Okay. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Incorrect.
No,
He never
Michael
did
Jordan.
No, actually.
No, he wasn't one either. Who was it? MVPs? Jerry West?
No. Bill Russell or LeBron. Those are two guys who've done it.
Oh, Bill Russell. Okay, darn.
Bill, that's okay. You went 4 of 5 you went 2 of 5 last week, I should say. As long as you don't get this next two wrong, you're doing better. Next question. This one's not too hard. The next two I think you can get. Who's the only player to win the MVP award unanimously?
Wasn't Steph Curry?
That is indeed him. 2015-2016 season. It was Steph. And the last question. This should be like a number one question. Maybe I got the order flip-flopped. Who has won the most MVP awards? It's tricky if you overthink it.
Was it Bill Russell too? No,
No.
I'm wrong. It was not.
Maybe I threw you off with the Bill Russell question.
Who was
Kareem.
it?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won the
Okay.
most. I didn't write how many.
That did throw me off because if Bill Russell won 4 and 5,
Yeah, I understand the logic. Let me try and find how many
darn.
Kareem won. So what was that? 3 of 5
Yeah.
on trivia this week. How many MVPs did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar win? I'm guessing like 7. 6 titles and 6 MVP awards. So if you're a guy like Bill Russell, you must be winning them all in that little span, and then you're kind of done for. So, oh well, 3 of 5 on the trivia. You are now 9 of 15. Not the worst. Far from the worst, actually, compared to your span where you were like 2 of 15 with college mascots. I hope we do that again.
No, we're not doing that ever again.
Good times with college mascots. They got tougher and tougher and tougher, but that's that. 3 of 5. You're now 9 of 15. Like I said, we covered Bucks, we covered Brewers, we covered college, we didn't cover high school. I almost forgot. Let's do it. High school awards. How could I forget? It was on my phone. That's why it wasn't a tab on my computer. We have to talk about the high school awards show. The nominees were revealed for the Northeast Wisconsin High School Sports Show. This is taking place in July, you said, right?
July 15th.
Okay. July 15th is when this bad boy is taking place. Let's look at some awards. We'll shout out some of these local players if they're on here. Mason Gates for boys cross country. You see the Valder's name right under him?
Shane Griepentrog Jr.
Yes, the one and only. But Hunter Kreplin from Brilliant. I didn't realize he did cross country. Makes sense. Good for him. Some Two Rivers people for girls cross country. Brooklyn Lupke from Lutheran. She's on there. Recognize that name. For football, football, do we really think there's going to be anyone on there? Let's just scroll past that. Girls golf, no one on there that we would know. Boys soccer, Tyler Bonin from Roncalli. Tyler Bonin, I should say, from Roncalli. They won state, right? Roncalli?
Yep, they did. And we talked about him on the podcast even. He's going to St. Norbert this fall to do some soccer.
Yes, we did give him a shout out there. That's good. Good for him. Boys soccer, Roncalli. How about it? Girls swimming. Let's see. There's really no one on there. Girls tennis. I know there's a duo on here. Olivia Meinikel, a freshman for Manitowoc. Wow. Don't even recognize her name, but Elsie Steinley and Kendra Peterson. That's the combo right there. Those girls are good at tennis. They made it on the list. Girls volleyball. Talk about another good team. Mary Satori makes it for girls volleyball. Ship so close to winning state, but came up short in the championship. We love high school sports, and I'm glad I didn't forget about that. That was very close to not making it on the show, but I think we covered everything, Drew.
We got it all, and we're getting ready for next week, episode 14, and the Summer Sports Spectacular, episode 3. Also, that next week, we're going to have something, a little surprise on a Friday called, I'll just say the name, the Lake to Lake Soccer Special.
I was going to ask you about that, but I didn't want to bug you and ask when it was coming out. I can't wait. Next Friday. That is Drew Skyberg's first ever bonus podcast, and we'll see. I said originally I was going to be gone for UFC 260. What are we on? 264, I believe. Yep. We're on. And that is, I don't know if I'll be home in time to do a recap or review of that or not. We'll see. Something's going on that day. We'll figure it out. We might have that what would that be? 4 podcasts in a week? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday? Oh my God. Imagine. Wow. I can only think about that right now. I'm gonna mess with my microphone here later on in the night. Try and figure this thing out. Drew Skyberg, heck of an episode 13. Shout yourself out. Twitter, what are you on tonight?
You can follow me on Instagram, Drew Skyberg, DrewSkyberg.
Not often you pull out the Instagram, but that's a new one. So let's do our Instagram one more time. Drew __ sports crew. I was going to say 50, but I'm getting ahead of myself. That's the number we need to reveal the full schedule for the Summer Sports Spectacular. Subscribe to the YouTube and Apple podcast. If you haven't already, leave those 5-star reviews. I'm on Twitter at JordanLaw_PXP. Did you see my Nashville Sounds tweet that blew up earlier?
I did not. Let's see. Let's hear it.
We have to give the Nashville Sounds credit real quick. That team, they were 21-5. They won 15 straight games. So I tweeted about that. I said, can we please talk about how and I tagged them at Nashville Sounds are 21-5 and have won 15 straight. This is insane. And then they responded and they said, we can talk about it. Sure. My tweet has 3 retweets and 65 likes. So, I mean, killer stuff. I'm killing it on the Twitter machine. Follow me on there if you haven't already. I've been at 40 followers for a long time. It's been steady. Follow our boy Tony Cartier. Thank you again, sir, for our logo. He gave us like a green and yellow background at first. And I'm like, what about blue and yellow for the Brewers? I think it looks fantastic. You'll see our new logo by now. And that wraps up episode 13 of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.